All right. We're keeping an eye on what we're watching with our pipes here. And we've had we call him our resident pipe expert at this point. It's Danny Griffin from Pipes R Us. You have been our voice of reason now for years.
Yes.
I'm so glad to have you in to talk about this, because this is the biggest question I get when we do get cold like this, are my pipes. People start freaking out. Let's start by talking about how vulnerable are our houses actually down here to these freezes?
Like we talked about earlier, houses are so different. You have raised houses, slab houses, you have galvanized water lines, you have, PEX water lines, you have copper water lines. So really, truthfully, the best way to do it is just to run a trickle of hot water, just a pencil stream of hot water at your furthest fixture, because what that's gonna do is, it's gonna go through your hot and your cold line, so it keeps it running and flowing.
And like you said, and it sounds like what I've heard from many people, every house is different, right? One thing we were talking about earlier that was really interesting are these tankless water heaters.
Right.
These things are really vulnerable if they're in the wrong spot.
Yes, because if they're in an attic, a lot of times, obviously you don't have heat up in the attic and it's not insulated on the roof line, or if you have it on the outside of your house. All it is just a tube. It doesn't hold water as far as a tank goes, and a tank water will get cold and hot. Obviously it kicks on and kicks off. A tankless will not kick on until you turn it on. So basically, you have to run through that tankless just to make sure you're keeping a flow go.
And you said yours is frozen before?
Yes.
Your tankless? Oh, wow. So that just goes to show you.
Well, the manufacturer will sit there and tell you that it goes down to a certain temperature. I sat there, listened to the manufacturer and a couple other, we did it that way, and I just don't recommend it, being that it happened to me.
Yeah, it's better safe than sorry, as we like to say. Okay, another question I often get are running the dishwasher or doing the laundry at night. If you turn on that in the middle of the night, is that going to help you out at all, or is that a little risky?
I would just have a steady stream running.
Yeah.
I would not worry, I would not depend upon if you're going to run a certain appliance.
Okay, and let's talk about the difference between a steady stream and a drip. Because you hear say drip, but it probably should be more of a steady stream.
More of a steady stream, yes, like a pencil point, just a steady stream, not a drip, because a drip, it will catch up and it will freeze.
It will freeze. All right, another one, outside pipes. I was telling you earlier, the drippers on my planters were going off the other day, and what an icy mess it made.
Right.
I mean, does it do anything to run a faucet outside other than create a mess?
It's going to create a mess.
Yeah.
Run it inside.
Okay.
Because the fact is, here's the thing, you're never going to get full coverage of your pipes. It's just not going to happen. The best way to do it is the furthest point away from it on the inside of your house, and that's going to cover the best that it will cover.
And we were talking earlier about, should I run my hot and cold, or which one should I run?
I just run hot, because basically if you run a pencil stream of hot, what it's going to do, again, it'll go through your cold line to your heater, and then go through the hot line out your faucet.
And that also protects your tankless too, right?
Correct, yes. If it's outside or in the attic, yes.
Okay. Okay, let's say you are in a raised home versus a home with a foundation.
Right.
What are we looking at there? How much vulnerable are you?
You're 100% more vulnerable, is because your pipes are exposed to the elements. So what you have to look at is that a slab, a lot of times it comes up through the slab, or it goes through your attic, through your insulation, you're covered, but a raised house is wide open, and it should be insulated.
Okay, and let's say you get to Sunday and you're on the North Shore, or rather Saturday, whichever day, and you notice your water has stopped running. That means it's frozen.
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
now what do you do?
Well, the best thing is, not the best thing, the smartest thing is to find out where your shutoff is now. So you need to be able to know where to shut your house off. And yes, you can shut off with a meter, but you need a water key to shut it off. Mainly plumbers have those. You can get them at Home Depot, but the best place is where you can shut it off by hand at your house.
And you're not going to know where that break is until it melts?
Until it melts, that's it.
Oh my gosh. And then what do you do? Okay, so let's say the water's turned off.
Right.
You know your pipes were frozen. You don't know if it busted though, so how do you know? You turn it back on and you
Once you turn it back on, and if the meter's running, or if you can hear it, that's the only way you're going to be able to tell.
And then that's when you call
a plumber.
A plumber.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what you do.
And another thing too on that one is that if you have a raised house, you can look underneath the raised house, but if not, the best way is just to hear.
Sure. And I mean, what is the scope of, if you do have busted pipes, and what are you looking at here?
I mean, it could be anything from a simple repair to a piece of copper that busted, a fitting that burst. It might be an hour. It could be you have to replace your entire water lines. Again, we went through this, probably 5 or 6 years ago, when it was really, really bad.
Really bad.
And a lot of people got their water lines replaced. They insulated, they listened, they did what they were supposed to do. You have some outliers that haven't, but the thing is, it's probably just a simple repair for most people.
And these newer things that plumbers are using, these are not like our old things that were being used years ago, correct?
The material?
The material.
No,
yeah.
so basically it's material, we're either using copper or PEX, and mostly everyone's using PEX because it's a cheaper material, but it does withstand temperatures a lot lot better than copper does. So it can expand and contract up until 1.5 times its size, and then it can go back down without bursting.
And this typically down here in our area, that's probably suffice for the freezes we are getting.
Correct. I think for the most part, unless it's straight up cold for days like you said, and it's really, really low, it should be fine.
Now, this last freeze we had last weekend, we had some hard freezes. Did y'all get a lot of calls, or how
we didn't get one.
Didn't get one?
Didn't get one, no.
You know, I had to ask everyone on social media a couple of days ago, did anyone have frozen pipes? And I had one report, and it was up in Abita Springs, but it seemed like most fared okay.
Yes,
so
yes.
Hopefully that happens this time.
I think that if everybody just kind of runs their water, and they should be fine.
Now, we talk about it's important to not run the water too much, because then we get into these low water pressure issues.
Yes.
And
Well, people panic, and you know that. When they panic, they want to turn every faucet on. Here's the thing is that no matter what you do, you're never going to cover the entire house. So by running multiple faucets, all you're doing is dropping the pressure, and fire departments and all that, when you drop the city water pressure, if people are running too many faucets at one time, is not good.
And God forbid there's a fire and we don't have water pressure.
Correct. So just you run your one stream and you should be good.
You should be good. All right, Danny. Hey, listen, we'll get through this one, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you at the next Arctic event. We thank you for coming
appreciate it.
from Pipes R Us, and hopefully your water heater's fine this time around.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.